has really had a great day today. Also, Augusto, strong performance. With Ono, we have now 6 cars in the top 10, so we equalized our...
Well, hello, and a good evening to you, and welcome to the Porsche Carrera Cup here at the Hungaroring as we see the sun begin to go down, and in truth, it didn't really make an appearance until mid-afternoon. You join us for this delayed Porsche Carrera Cup race here, and we look at Christian Engelhardt then, who will be leading them away from pole position in the Conrad Motorsport engineered Porsche here in the Carrera Cup. Alongside me is David Addison, and between us here on the tight and twisty, undulating Hungaroring circuit, I think with that huge grid of cars, we're in for a bit of a thriller.
37 of them are about to do battle. It is a 14-lap race. By now, they were anticipating to be tucking into Porsche's hospitality and relaxing for the night. They didn't think they would have to go racing because this has been delayed by about an hour and a half to 2 hours. It is the shorter of the two races of the weekend. It's 14 laps, and we come to this race with 4 rounds done, 4 different winners, 4 different pole sitters. Well, now Christian Engelhardt takes his first pole of the season. He has had one victory already, but the man alongside him, Michael Ammermuller, has not been a winner this year, nor has the man who is third on the grid and is the championship leader, Connor De Filippi. So there's an awful lot to shake out of this, and it could be one of the liveliest rounds of the championship. Overtaking around here is not easy. A lot of the work can be done lap 1, turns 1 and 2. We might even have a safety car come the end of the first lap. We'll see.
Yes, I don't think that's a too bold a prediction, potentially. It could very much happen. And there you can see just the enormity of the grid on the uphill stretch before they reach the crest here of the start-finish straight. And then it's downhill into the right-hander, which is turn 1 here at Hungaroring, and quite a tight right-hander it is as well. So Porsche Carrera Cup, of course, with such a big grid of cars, always delivers very, very exciting racing, and we see no reason why this is going to be any different here today. As the cars go off then on their formation lap, and as you've said, David, we've had a real cross-section of winners. Of course, there are 2 categories racing together here. We have the A category, which is by far and away the most dominant in the grid of cars, and then we have the B category as well. And Christian Engelhardt, and then it's Ammermuller, then it's Connor De Filippi and Earl Bamber occupying the front 2 rows, and Pieter Schotthurst and Robert Lucas are next. As there you can see the race 5 for the Porsche Carrera Cup gets underway much, much later than we expected it to, but nonetheless it does get underway. And well, the shorter of the 2 races, and probably as well, isn't it?
Yes, night races are all well and good when you're prepared for them. Of course, many of these drivers want to go on to long-distance racing, and Le Mans perhaps is part of their future plan. But here, this is how the first 5 rows of the grid look. Bookended, of course, by Conrad Motorsport cars.
Yes, Engelhardt, Ammermuller, De Filippi, Bamber, Schotthurst, Lucas, Enger. Team Sean Johnston and Christopher Zurchling then is P10. Then we see Renault and Alex Riberas, Jeffrey Schmidt, Jim Clark, Ola Nielsen, who went really, really well in free practice. And I spoke to Ola last night, and he was really quite pleased with his performance in free practice, and disappointed qualifying for this race.
This race based on your second best lap time in qualifying, and Fabien Tournay takes a 5-place grid drop because he didn't go to the way area after the qualifying session for the scrutineering, so he got a 5-place grid drop as a consequence.
And whilst we're talking about penalties and grid drops and such like, be aware that turn 4, turn 11 are the places where track limits are being exceeded in the other categories of racing that we're seeing here at the Hungaroring this weekend. And it is, of course, part of the big DTM weekend here in Hungary. We're about 30-45 minutes away from Budapest. So there you can see the track in full, 4.3 kilometres. And it's those 2 sections that I was alluding to, 4 and 11, where an awful lot of drivers, David, have been penalised for exceeding track limits.
And it happened a lot in the Super Cup race here last year, and the race director, Werner Eichinger, has been joined for this weekend by Peter Roberts, who is the race director for the Super Cup.
Interesting.
So it's an extra pair of eyes and an extra sounding board, if you like, before any decisions are made. Yes, it has been keeping both of them honest, as they say, over the course of practice and qualifying, and I have every faith that they'll be busy during the course of the races. It's going to be lively anyway, and with a championship that on the one hand, you can say he's wide open. On the other, you can say nobody has been consistent enough to offer a championship bid. People that have done well have yo-yoed considerably. They've had good and bad days, but not really an in-between. And the man that leads the championship, Conor De Filippi, 5th, 2nd, 7th, 4th. He's leading this championship, with all due respect, on consistency.
Yes.
Not any wins.
It's points, isn't it?
Exactly right.
Okay, so cars set them ready to go as it begins to darken here at the Hungaroring. Just wait for this big grid of cars to get together. A long time that the front row sitters have to sit there waiting for the rest of the cars to get on board. That is our pole sitter, Christian Engelhardt, and still the car's not quite into order, are they?
The last one now, just under the Arrow Ultimate banner, is forming up. There at the very back of the grid, you've got Felix Wimmer and Mike Keller. Finally, we're good to go.
Okay, so Porsche Carrera Cup racing. We throw the lights to the top of the screen for you. This is Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland, and away we go and racing, and a good start there from Christian Engelhardt, and he needs that into that tight turn one. The right-hander as the rest of the pack bay there. One of the Attempto cars going up the middle there. And here comes Christian Engelhardt. Looks like he's got it all under control, but watch for the mayhem behind.
Deep breath, into turn one they go. It's all right at the front. What about midfield? It's getting a bit leery, but they go 3 wide through turn one. One gets forced out wide, which I think might have been Fabien Tune. They come downhill for the first time. It is Engelhardt leading from Ammermuller. And so far, so good, as Peter Schotthorst tries to go around the outside, and there Zirkling locks up and goes way wide at turn 2.
So as they continue their way around this, the opening lap of the Porsche Carrera Cup here at the Hungaroring. And it is Christian Engelhardt that is leading the way. It's been a good start from Philipp Enger, David, who has made his way up the order. He's one of those drivers that has been winning in the Porsche Carrera Cup, but hasn't had the consistency that he needs. So we'll see what Philipp Enger can do. But at the moment, it is Christian Engelhardt that is leading the way.
Yeah, Ang only 6th in the championship as the cars now funnel their way through the chicane for the first time. You've got to keep off those sausage curbs if you can. 1 or 2 get forced out just a little bit wide, including Christopher Bergkamp there. And look, 2 go up the escape road out of the Class B brigade as the race leaders work their way towards the end of the lap. We had a very sideways, I think it was Alex Riberas there, who hung on to the slide. But up front, it is the pole position man, Christian Engelhardt, who leads the way, and he's just starting to gap Michael Ammermuller, who in turn has got the Asian champion of last year, Earl Bamber, tucked up behind him.
So Engelhardt, Ammermuller, and his Bamber, De Filippi, and out goes, that looks like Habets, Jochen Habets, I think, in the number 4 car.
So Jochen Habets back into the race. A bit more optimism is revealed on the inside there. Look, as they run side by side towards the end of the lap. This is into the final sequence of hairpins, and look what's happened for the race lead, because Engelhardt has lost a few lengths, and that's put Ammermuller right up behind him. In 3rd as they come over the line is Bamber. 4th as they come through now. It is car number 12 in the hands of Philipp Eng, who is making good progress and could get 3rd, but Ammermuller is the man on a mission. And look at Schotthorst in the background as well in the blue and yellow car. He's all locked up, bang, he's hit Eng, and round he goes. Eng spins, Schotthorst spins, the mayhem has broken out.
Well, it perhaps came a lap later than we expected. That's the end of Schotthorst's race. You can see that the wheel is damaged there. Here it is in slow-mo. There's Philipp Enger, who is nothing but a victim of that. He did nothing wrong at all, just got caught up in that bold and ambitious move from Schotthorst, who couldn't scrub the speed. And
Eng is out of the race as well, because just before we cut to the replay, we saw Eng's car pulling to one side, and also in all of that, I think Earl Bamber got involved. There is Eng out. You can see the suspension is twisted.
Oh, he is furious,
absolutely,
David.
and understandably, because as you rightly said, Dave, he was innocent in all of that. There is Schotthorst, the aggressor. But there was another car that got caught up in all of that. You saw the contact on the outside. And now we've got to get these 2 cars retrieved. If I were Peter Schotthorst, I'd be on the first bus to Budapest out of Philipp Eng's way.
Yes, I think Philipp Eng is potentially going to have a word with Pieter Schotthorst. Of course, there's, you know, the 2 teams, the Project One Motorsport team and the Attempto team, you know, really ultra competitive, aren't they?
Yeah.
And, well, that was a silly mistake by Pieter Schotthorst.
If Conor De Filippi escaped through all of that, he has done well, because he got caught up in the outside of Eng as Eng was being harpooned.
Yes.
But yeah, Schotthorst made a bold effort. I'm afraid it wasn't going to work. He was too far back, he was all locked up, and Eng, the innocent victim in all of that, and he can quite rightly feel aggrieved, as up front, it's exactly as you were a lap ago, in as much as Engelhardt still leads Ammermuller, but only just. Daniel Aleman has had a drama as well, coming through at turn 11. But Ammermuller is on the attack, and that's Alaban getting muscled out of the way, and I suspect Michel Gatting was a bit close there.
I think you may be right there.
Bang.
So,
yes. That was Alaman getting turned around, Michel Gatting the aggressor.
The difference between Engelhardt and Ammermuller was merely 0.3. Conor De Filippi is not far behind either, a further 4 or 5 tenths behind. So Christian Engelhardt then, he's not been able to get away and open up a bit of a cushion that he would have liked to have done. Ammermuller is keeping with him here, and you look at the way that Ammermuller is driving. He is filling Christian Engelhardt's mirrors with his car, and he's really hustling him, isn't he? So expect Ammermuller to try and have a go. Now, of course, Ammermuller and Engelhardt not involved in that earlier skirmish, and thankfully we didn't miss Ammermuller trying to have a go as well. In these Porsches, by Jiminy, they take some curb, don't they, David? I mean, they really do push these cars as hard as they can. Christian Engelhardt leading from that man. Ammermuller then in P2.
And he's close enough to think about making a move. Trouble is, for Ammermuller, the best place to do it is turn 1, and that's a yellow flag zone because they're still having to clear these cars out of the way. So what Ammermuller has got to do for the moment is just try and live on the back of Christian Engelhardt. Trouble is, he's stuck, and so now, look, he's being reeled in by Conor De Filippi, who in turn is bringing Earl Bamber with him. So we've now got 4 for the lead. You won't be surprised to know that Peter Schothorst is under investigation. Philip Eng is under investigation as well, which I think might be a little bit unfair, but the stewards have to look at it from both sides. And it's not 4 for the lead, it's 5, because Nicky Tim, the reigning Super Cup champion, has joined in as well.
Well, we wonder whether Eng is perhaps under investigation because he's caught up with Peter Schothorst. Of course, we don't know that, do we? Right. Engelhardt, Ammermuller, De Filippi, Bamber, Team. A good showing from Nicky Team in P5 then. And then it is Robert Lucas. The yellow flag's being waved there. Of course, that really compromises the efforts then of Ammermuller, because, of course, he can't overtake there. And there you can see the frustration, the anger, the sheer annoyance from Philip Enger.
The Eng is nigh. I'm afraid to say this is not helping his championship hopes one bit, is it? After that win in the first meeting at Hockenheim, it's unravelled a bit. And it's one thing finishing down the order in the points, it's another being punted out early doors, and so understandably Philip Eng is absolutely furious. But up front, it is Christian Engelhardt who still leads. Can he be our first double victor of the year, or can we have a new name atop that list in either Michael Ammermuller or Conor De Filippi? The championship leader still runs third. Earl Bamber is there in 4th place. Coming through the chicane then now, and for third they are absolutely nose to tail, because Bamber has arrived right on the back of De Filippi. Replay of the start.
Yes, and Christian Engelhardt got a great start away, and as the rest of the cars came through, well, thankfully, that man on the right-hand side of your picture, Philip Eng in car number 12, got a great start as well, and was progressing well up the field was Philip Enger, and he and Schothorst were together there, weren't they, at that point, and it was a little bit later on that Philip Enger and Schothorst were going to get even closer together. The cars all went through. Some went wide, David, but to be fair, it wasn't perhaps the nightmare that we thought it might have been.
No, that's right. And in fact, some of those that go wide almost do it out of self-preservation, don't they? So they don't get caught up in a battle. That was Eng, and he was lucky not to get collected again as he spun and then tried to rejoin. But at this point, he's realised that that car has got broken suspension. It's all over, and he is a mighty cross driver, and that through semaphore is his description of how he was T-boned by Peter Schothorst. There is Philip Eng, whose eyes are still out like chapel hat pegs. He's absolutely seething. Battle is on for 4th, nose to tail. Bamber and Team absolutely nose to tail into turn 1. That is distracting Earl Bamber, and it's letting Conor De Filippi get away a little bit.
So Christian Engelhardt it is that's leading. And there you can see Engelhardt, the challenge from Ammermuller has just eased off for a moment. But, of course, Conor De Filippi and Bamber in the mix there in P3 and 4 as well. And what have we got? Christian Engelhardt has got just 5 tenths over Ammermuller at the moment. But the rest of the way through the pack, that's Earl Bamber that we can see there, who's currently P4. And then a good showing from Nicky Team here. We were only saying just before we came on the air that following his crash in GT Racing earlier this year, we've not seen the best of Nicky Team, and just felt that that may have affected him a little bit. But he seems to be getting back to his normal, very hard, aggressive driving that we expect from Nicky Team.
Although that second race at Ottersleben, he made a couple of unforced errors that was a real surprise, and so Nicky Tim, one hopes, will be back, as you say, to his full strength now. Lucas Schreier, he's had a rather interesting weekend, Dave.
Yes, he has, because he was late arriving here at the Hungaroring. The reason he was late arriving was he's finishing his A-level written paper on physics. So we wish him well, and we wish him well in this race as well. I don't know if that's really good preparation, is it, for this race?
I think when I finished A-levels, I got a bag of sweets. I didn't get a Porsche to race. How things change, I tell you.
Yes.
We are on lap 5 out of 14, and Engelhardt now is just edging away from Ammermuller. Frustratingly for Michael, because now, of course, you can see there's a green flag zone at turn 1. Now that he's got the opportunity to try and make a pass,
It's just not close enough.
He's not close enough.
So Engelhardt then leads Ammermuller, and actually Engelhardt has increased by a couple of tenths the gap back to Ammermuller now. So you're absolutely right.
Another challenge being made at the end of the pit straight. Fabien Tournay trying to go through and pick up a place. He does so on the inside line there. You've got Rolfi Neichen at the back of this little group, one of the leading lights in Class B within the championship, as the race leaders wriggle their way through the middle of the circuit. There is Nicky Thiem, who is hunting down as they come out of turn 3. Earl Bamber ahead of him. So Super Cup champion versus Asian Carrera Cup champion in a different type of car, the 997 from last year. These, of course, the 991 in Super Cup last year and rolled out into the domestic championships for this year. And by the fact that Nicky Thiem had all that success last year in Super Cup, you would expect him to be the benchmark driver. Not happening.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Well, we just saw fastest lap coming from Christian Engelhardt. No surprise there. Sean Johnston, we can see, and there is Alex Ramirez. And that is P7 and P8 that we see there as the rest of this big pack of cars comes through here. We're on lap 5 of 14 here, and there is our fastest lap setting race leading Christian Engelhardt, of course, driving for one of the most experienced and successful teams in Porsche racing, the Franz Conrad run, Conrad Motorsport.
Franz Conrad, former Austrian Formula 3 champion, a good driver himself, excellent team owner, part of the Silk Cup Jaguar, attacking the late days of Group C racing, and he knows exactly how to get the best out of one of these cars. And Christian Engelhardt then, as I say, looking to be our first double victor of the season, because he won last time out at Ossersleben, hoping to carry on that pace, and little by little he's edging away from Ammermuller. 7 tenths becomes a second now. In third is De Filippi, in fourth is Bamber, fifth is Thiem, and then after that Robert Lucas is 6th, Sean Johnston 7th, Alex Riberas is 8th, Christopher Zirkling struggling here,
yes,
unlike Ossersleben, is 9th, and then in 10th Robert Renauer.
Of course, a very different circuit to Ossersleben. And something else that I feel I should point out at this point, as we see lap 6 of 14 up on the screen right at the top of your picture, is that not too many drivers have been warned about track limits, which again is completely against what we thought would happen.
2 years ago, when the Super Cup was here, the race was won by Christian Engelhardt, and second it was Michael Ammermuller, and they run 1-2 at the moment. So Engelhardt leading for Conrad, and then second, you can see Michael Ammermuller still pushing on, and the Walter Lechner Racing Run car now just over a second adrift, and he's going to find it hard, I think, to make that up unless Engelhardt makes a mistake. And then in third place, Conor De Filippi, who again may not come out of this as a race winner, but will have scored well, and all this is helping, yes, as others are having their woes, either self-induced or shock horse-induced behind in the championship. De Filippi is just racking up the points, and they're all so valuable.
Yes, absolutely right. So there is Rolf Inischen then, that David mentioned earlier on, one of the leading lights in the B category of the Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland, and another one of those Conrad Motorsport run cars. And they're one of the McGregor cars going through, and lights being flashed there. Whether you saw that from Sven Muller in car number 14. But there is Rolf Inischen once again in the familiar duck green bonnet and boot of the Conrad Motorsport cars. The fascinating story Franz Conrad told us about how he adopted that colour, and basically when they needed to paint the bonnet of the car, he looked in the back of the van at that time, and the only colour they had available was that one. It's stuck ever since.
The Conrad turquoise. We are getting 1 or 2 drivers warned about track limits, and the most significant has been Earl Bamber, incidentally, who is still running in 4th place. Now there, number 10 is Robert Lucas, who is the kind of best of the rest. He's not really on the back of that leading quintet, but in turn he is ahead of Sean Johnston, who's coming under pressure for his 7th place from Alex Riberas. We're now on to lap number 8 out of 14, so it's a race that's rattling by pretty quickly. Way wide goes Robert Lucas, and behind him, because Sean Johnston's measuring his pace against the man ahead, he will run wide as well.
Yes.
Zirkling is still in 9th place and struggling to make progress here. But up front, Engelhardt looking very strong indeed.
Yes, whilst we've been watching action further down the order, Engelhardt has increased his margin back to Ammermuller to 1.3 seconds. So as we see Engelhardt go through there, and this is what I was saying about just these cars, David, and I don't know whether it's the mentality that when you get into a Porsche 911, you drive it hard, because they take more of the sausage curb out there than we have seen in any other category. And yet some drivers will say that you have to be smooth in one of these cars to get the best out of them. So it's down to driving style, I suspect, and what works for you. There's the championship leader, Connor De Filippi, the American, having a good season, his 2nd year of Porsche racing. First came to prominence in Europe when he took part in the Formula Ford Walter Hayes Trophy and the Formula Ford Festival at Brands Hatch, but then went back to the States to race single-seaters. Teams look on in the pit lane, and there you can clearly see the gap now that Engelhardt has pulled. That is a monster gap compared to what we had early on. Last time around it was 1.3. It's going to be bigger than that right now as Christian Engelhardt crosses the line, and Michael Ammermuller now it's 1.8. Now, is Ammermuller yet in jeopardy? Because Connor De Filippi is close. Lap fractionally faster last time. Nicky Tim having another look at the inside. Yes, he makes a move this time to get up alongside Bamber, and he's done it. He's gone through. Great move by Nicky Tim. He left that till the last possible moment and then went for it. So Nicky Tim then with a textbook example of how to make that turn 1 work, because he set that up perfectly. To be fair, we didn't even see it coming, did we? Very stealth-like in how he did that, but Nicky Tim has moved up a place, and we're beginning to see Nicky Tim back to the form that he has shown. So there he goes in the Q-Pod liveried car then from Nicky Tim. Car number 26, he's made up another place, and he's on a bit of a charge now. We're just over half distance through this race, and there goes our race leader, Christian Engelhardt, who's 1.9 margin over Michael Ammermuller then, and then Connor De Filippi. So Nicky Tim 4th. Now, can we get him onto the podium before the end of the race? We're on lap 9. 9 more minutes remain. Not sure it's going to go to time, but it's going to be tight, isn't it? Looking at the back of Robert Renard, who leads the Schmitz, Jeffrey and Clements, different spelling, different families. And as the cars work their way then toward the end of the lap, Nicky Tim is hunting down those ahead in the first sector. He was slightly quicker than the traffic ahead of him. And this is a replay of Sven Muller launching himself up the inside of Marco Klein. And he makes it stick. Yes, he does. He had a wobble into it, didn't he? And I wondered whether Marco Klein was going to be able to get back on the switchback, but he wasn't able to, was he? And now it's very, very visible on screen there that you can see that Christian Engelhardt, lap after lap after lap now, is beginning to increase that margin back to P2, which is Michael Ammermuller. Then it is Connor De Filippi for a record. The gap back now is 2.1, so another 0.2 is taken out on that lap alone. But Nicky Tim is lapping quicker than Connor De Filippi, so that gap is coming down just a fraction, and as they come down towards turn 1, battles lower down the top 10 are still to be resolved. Sean Johnston versus Alex Riberas in the all-blue car, Marquinarco's team, and there you've got the Lechner guys looking on. Replay of Nicky Tim as late as possible, and I think Earl Bamber thought he got that corner, and then all of a sudden, whoa, Nicky Tim's up the inside. Yeah, he did that really, really well, didn't he? And here it is in slow-mo from the inside there on one of our cameras there, and Nicky Tim going through, and as you say, Earl Bamber just went to close the door, didn't think there was going to be a Porsche there, and Nicky Tim, stealth-like, had taken that place away. Nicky Tim has now set the best of anybody in the first sector, so with clear road ahead for the moment, he is absolutely storming. Can we get him onto the podium? It's all bunching up 2nd, 3rd and 4th, Ammermuller, De Filippi, and then behind it is Nicky Tim, and he's on a mission. Yes, I think this is going to be very, very exciting as we're into the second half of this race. We're watching the back end there of Nicky Tim then, driving like a demon back to his best now. Now, has he got enough time in which to get past Connor De Filippi? If he can get close enough and pull that move at turn 1, De Filippi, I think, might be prey. We shall see how it pans out as 33 comes towards us, that being Jim Pla heading the next train of cars. Yes, Jim Pla down there, P13, Ola Nilsson behind him in P11. Then we see the returning Kentonish we just see on screen there, who's down there in P18, and Muller is P19. So there we can see the Niklas Kentonish back. He was away racing in VLN, I think, and missed out on the last round of the Porsche Carrera Cup.
Yes, Jaap van Lagen sub for him, but Otterschleven had a second in race 2, and Kentenich having to defend now because Sven Muller is right up behind him as they come onto the pit straight. They break the timing beam, through they go. These two 18th and 19th still. Meanwhile, Nicky Tim continues to press on, continues to chip away at Conor De Phillippe's advantage. And in this gaggle, you've got Fabien Tunet in the surviving McGregor clothing car, looking to try to gain ground if he can. He's on the back of Christopher Burkhan as second, third and fourth come towards us. Lap 11 we're now on, and headlights ablaze. Nicky Tim means business.
Oh, he does. And, well, Conor De Phillippe has got that rear view mirror full of Nicky Tim with his headlights ablaze there, making his intentions fairly plain, and you can see he is right on the back of Conor De Phillippe. So where can Nicky Tim find it? Now, we saw a textbook move into turn 1 earlier. Is that where he's going to try it again, or is he going to have a go somewhere else? Overtaking so very difficult here at the Hungaroring. That is about the only place, isn't it?
Unless he can force a mistake out of Conor De Phillippe ahead of him, and that's what he's trying to do by putting the lights on to distract him. Muller just can't shake them off, can he?
No.
So if Team were to get past, he's going to have a tentative look, I think, as they drop down now towards turn 12. Can't do it there. Could he even do something about Muller before the end of the race? The pack streams through. The race leader is still Christian Engelhardt, and he's about to complete lap number 11. Great battle going on there, you can see, as they work their way down to turn 12. Another flash of the lights from Sven Muller. If all else fails, try and distract the guy ahead.
There's our B category leader at the moment. We'll finish him then, as Christian Engelhardt is 2.2 seconds as he crosses the start-finish line right now. 2.5 seconds over Michael Muller. Then it is De Phillippe, and will Nicky Tim have a go into turn 1?
Well, he's close enough, I think, to have had a go. 2 tenths back, a fifth of a second only when they came over the timing line. There you can see Eichen as he turns his way onto the pit straight once more. He is running at the moment down in 21st place, and it's not changed for third. So Nicky Tim is still denied, still frustrated, and if he doesn't get past soon, he's going to be caught again by Earl Bamber, isn't he, as they drop downhill. Bamber has certainly dropped off the back of that little group, yes, but might be thrown a lifeline if Nicky Tim gets stuck. He has now backed off. Dropped a length or two. That might just be to let his tyres recover before he has another push.
Perhaps so. That might be absolutely right. We will wait and see, of course. So, Muller, there is Tim still with those headlights ablaze. There is our race leader going through, Christian Engelhardt, 2.5 seconds up the road from Michael Muller, then in P2. Then it is Conor De Phillippe, who just for a moment can breathe a sigh of relief because Nicky Tim's charge appears not to be quite as close as it has been on previous laps. But I'm sure this is Nicky Tim just trying to lull Conor De Phillippe into a false sense of security. Just when he thinks he's safe, Viper-like, he will be there to try and have another go. And
I think you're right in saying that, because De Phillippe looks like he's going more defensive, and proof of that is that Muller is getting away, but very wide goes Nicky Tim. That'll be a track limits drama for him, but if it's a one-off, it shouldn't be too big a problem. He's not going to be gained out of all of that. He's still roughly the same gap back, isn't he, from Conor De Phillippe, but he's running out of options now, Nicky Tim. It does illustrate how hard it is to overtake. Look how long it took him to get past Bamber, and even though you think, right, well, he's got the speed, he's going to get right up onto the back of De Phillippe in attack, he still can't find a way through, but De Phillippe runs wide through that final corner. This is turn 14, and now, as they come over the timing line, onto the penultimate lap of the race, the gap has gone up third to fourth. It's half a second.
So, Engelhardt, Muller, De Phillippe, Tim. Then it is Bamber. And just looking, we're 2.5 minutes left to run in this race. Just wondering whether it's going to go to time or whether it will do laps. It's going to be very close. It will be laps. Confirmed there from the Oracle alongside me. The Oracle that is David Addison, as we bring you this Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland race from the Hungaroring. It is the first of 2 races that we're going to see here. It is the shorter race, and we're running a lot later in the day than we expected to.
Well, they complete this lap, there will be less than a lap time left in the race, but they'll be able to squeeze that last lap out. So it's going to pretty much equate the time versus the number of laps. It'll coincide. There's Ralph Bowen, who was a class winner at Otterschleven, wasn't he, in the third round of the championship, race 3 of the year, and he's a long way back at the moment, wriggling his way through turn 1 in 28th place ahead of Patrick Eiserman. But up front, what a drive by Christian Engelhardt. He has not put a wheel wrong.
No, he hasn't. It's been a stunning drive from Engelhardt, who got a fantastic start away and has looked completely and totally untroubled from the start of this race. Muller then has gradually seen the gap increase, and his chances of fighting for victory erode away. De Filippi is going to come under intense pressure, I feel, from Nicky Thiem. And there we see Robert Lucas, who's just one place further behind because it's Earl Bamber in P5 than it is Lucas.
Bamber, a little bit disappointing since he lost that place to Nicky Thiem. He's fallen back, hasn't he? And there is Nicky Thiem, who is now close enough to have a go, and he knows that his last possible chance is coming up. Turn 1 to start the last lap of the race. It's game on for third place. Over the timing line now goes De Filippi, now goes Nicky Thiem, and that gap is down to a fifth of a second.
So is Tim going to do it into turn 1? He did it so very well last time around. He looks at the inside, can't quite make it work, but now is Nicky Thiem going to dive in? No, it is covered there by Connor De Filippi, so that was perhaps the best opportunity that Nicky Thiem had to try and elevate himself up one further position. Hasn't done that.
And good defensive driving by De Filippi. He knew what was coming, and he positioned the car exactly where it needed to be. So Engelhardt is on target for win number 2, the first double winner of the season. Ammermuller behind him in second place is going to have his best finish of the season, and Connor De Filippi is still looking good for the championship lead.
Very much so. Christian Engelhardt then hasn't done anything wrong. Is 2.8 seconds to the good. Up front at the moment, we are on the last lap of this Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland race here at the Hungaroring. Still, Nicky Thiem is pushing very hard, but probably the only way he's going to make it stick now is if Connor De Filippi makes a mistake. And there is Franz Conrad then, and all excited down there. The thumbs up from Franz Conrad before the checkered flag has fallen. But Franz Conrad so successful with these Porsche cars. He knows his man has done everything right, and barring absolute disaster, surely victory is going to go the way of Christian Engelhardt, the man that fills our screen right now in the Conrad Motorsport colours, as he drives a perfect line around this tight, twisty and very undulating track here at the Hungaroring. Until you walk the track, you don't realise just the rise and fall as he enters now the final turn, turn 14 here at the Hungaroring. The checkered flag awaits Christian Engelhardt, and he takes the win. Great driving from Christian Engelhardt for Conrad Motorsport. Ammermuller takes P2. De Filippi under pressure from Nicky Thiem takes P3, and Nicky Thiem then is P4.
It means Earl Bamber is 5th, Robert Lucas comes home 6th, Sean Johnson 7th, Riberas 8th, Zirkling 9th, Robert Renard rounds out the top 10. And in the B class, Rolf Ineichen is going to head towards the timing line now. Look at this gaggle of cars pouring over the line. There was a virtual dead heat there, I think, between lower down the order, Fabien Tounet and Antti Burri. Yes, to the 10th, they can't be separated. We need to look at thousands to see what the margin was, if indeed there was a margin, and that was for 16th and 17th places. Well, it was a race that had its dramas. It was a race that had a great drive by Christian Engelhardt, and there's something about the Hungaroring and Engelhardt that seemed to work. Winner here in Super Cup 2 years ago, runner-up here last year. Another good race for Conrad, of course, winning both classes, A and B, thanks to Rolf Ineichen. So the Conrad team on the crest of a wave at the moment.
Yes, very much so. There is Franz Conrad to the very left of your picture there. Can't really miss the distinctive hair of Franz Conrad.
But he gets he's looked like that for about 20 years.
You're right. And he is one of the most approachable individuals, isn't he?
Absolutely.
And Engelhardt then making sure he's got plenty of stuff on the rubber there, isn't he? As he runs out wide then, and Christian Engelhardt drove really superbly there.
Didn't put a wheel wrong. Great start, and straight away from the light he moves right across, cut across on Michael Ammermuller to defend all the way down to the first corner. And is he trying to get more rubber pickup to make sure the car's weight is right?
Well,
here?
I have to say, he went to the extremes there, as we saw in that shot, didn't he? To make sure that there was some pickup. So as we see Franz Conrad once again, there is Christian Engelhardt then.
2.7 seconds of a margin in a one-make race is very good, especially when the opposition is this tough, because there's a real lack of muppetry in the championship this year. You're talking about some very good drivers in the main class, the pro class, as you were. And I think for Engelhardt to come out on top with that margin, again, yes, well done here, well done Conrad, but it shows the Super Cup teams in this championship that have got a setup on these cars and drivers that are used to them as well, added all together, it's quite a formidable combination.
Here is the result in full then, as we see that Michel Gatting is under investigation. Engelhardt takes the win from Ammermuller and Di Filippi, the 1, 2, 3. Nicky Tim then, well, couldn't quite make P3 here, but takes P4. Earl Pamba, Lucas, then it's Johnston, Riberas, Zöchling then into the points, P9. Renault is P10 with the two Schmidts. In P11 and P12, Jim Pla, Ola Nielsen, P14, then it's Burkhan, Tuna, Antiburi, Kentanish returning, Sven Muller, then Klein and Anishin and Erhard Gatting, who, as I said, is under investigation as the rest of them are there on the screen ahead of you. Podium to come, which is going to have to be floodlit as the darkness begins to fall now here at Hungaroring. This race being run much later than we anticipated.
And despite all the drama and all of our suggestions of doom and safety cars, only 2 of the 37 cars didn't finish. And they were some of the pro drivers. Peter Schotthorst's moment that took out Philippe Eng, which was quite a hit.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So we will see. Just looking at the message screen, we know that situation is under investigation, but nothing has been said yet, as we see Christian Engelhardt bring the car home then to Parc Fermé. And gives it a few victorious revs, and he's done very, very well. I have to say, so too has Ammermuller, hasn't he? Because
Ammermuller can be one of those drivers that can be very good on some occasions and a bit of a rock ape on others, and that was prevalent in his last single-seater days. It's kind of why his single-seater career fizzled out to an extent. And yeah, he knows he wants to now be a GT driver, and some days it works and some days it doesn't. But when he's got everything working well for him,
yes,
he can deliver, and he's just proved that. Didn't do anything silly in that race.
No.
And that's the Ammermuller that we used to see, and we were seeing in the Formula Renault Euro Cup. He was dominant in his year, but until the end of the season, and then it all went wrong for him in one race, and it affected his mindset, and he was mugged for the championship by Kamui Kobayashi. And
yes,
then he struggled a bit to get himself on an even keel for the next few years. So he's not a slow driver by any means, but as long as he can be focused and concentrate and be error-free, then he's quite a formidable opponent.
Well, there you see the top 3 in the A and the top 3 in the B class lined up there. The podium will get underway shortly, and that was... Here is the A Championship with 2-point lead for Christian Engelhardt over Conor Di Filippi. Bamba P3, Zöchling down to P4 now with Riberas, Lucas. Tim, look at that, 46 points now is P7. And Philipp Enger, who has had rotten luck in this race and is down there in P8. Ammermuller up to P9 in the points. So the A Championship then, which is by far and away the biggest category of the two. And Anishin, Bon and Nathan lead the championship in the B category.
Interesting, though, that the A-class championship lead has now swapped. It was Conor De Filippi coming into the race, and now Christian Engelhardt takes that from him. I was suggesting that De Filippi would still be okay to lead the championship, but no, not anymore. He's lost out by 2 points, and now it illustrates that it's not just about scoring, it's about scoring and being on the podium. Because those 2 wins in succession now for Engelhardt have marked him out as the man to beat, and he will be much more confident going into tomorrow's race. Conor De Filippi came here as the championship leader. Well, he finishes race 1, a podium finisher. He finishes 3rd, but he loses the championship lead.
So it sets it up for a very, very exciting race tomorrow as we look at the super slow-mos of our top 3 in the A category. Here is the 25 car of Michael Ammermuller, who, despite being very close to Christian Engelhardt over the first couple of laps, he couldn't keep pace with the Engelhardt car and ultimately finishes P2. And our race winner then, who, quite rightly, as you've said, did not put a foot wrong. Christian Engelhardt drove a model race, and well, he takes the win. 14 laps of perfection from Christian Engelhardt and Conrad Motorsports Engineering, of course.
I wonder how much of that was Engelhardt in the early part of the race, driving at 9.5 tenths, if you like, and stacking up Ammermuller while we had that yellow flag, knowing that that was really the only opportunity Ammermuller had, and he couldn't take it. And as soon as that became a green flag zone, he let himself off the leash, went for it, and built the gap.
You're probably right. If that was the case, it would be lovely to have that conversation with him as we have dinner shortly. Supper, all right.
Heading into breakfast.
Yes, it'd be interesting to see if that was the strategy. And I mean, Engelhardt did it well.
Somebody that came out of karting into Formula BMW never really sparkled in that, but in this sort of a car, very good indeed. Austrian saloon car champion, and the more miles you do in a Porsche, and there are some drivers that get on with them famously and others that really struggle.
Yes.
So Engelhardt, as I made the point, certainly excels in a car made by Porsche around this circuit, and with that win at Oschersleben now is a very confident championship leader. There is the man who is now down to second in the title race. It's Conor De Filippi, and the drivers making their way to the podium.
The thing we haven't mentioned is how much track experience Engelhardt has here at Hungaroring. He's single-seater racing.
He might have done Formula BMW here.
Yeah, would that have given him a slight?
No, give him a couple of races, but so many of these guys do the Super Cup as well. They'll have been here and that.
Yes,
so
that's a fair point.
It becomes perhaps less of an issue. It's a factor of track knowledge, car knowledge, and what data the team has as well.
Yes. Okay, the podium, as you can see, is being readied, and the Henkel Trocken awaits the 1, 2, 3 on the podium. Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland with the tempted to be flippant to say first night race for them during this season. The drivers are being readied behind the podium. There we can see the very, very happy Franz Conrad, and Forge Motorsport there as well. And as you say, Franz doesn't age.
No, he doesn't. A very, very quick racer himself. Very, very successful team owner. And it was Franz that gave Nick Tandy a shot, wasn't it, at Porsche Racing? And look what went from there. Nick having become one of the stars of Porsches. Right, the podium awaits. The drivers are in the podium room behind. And as soon as the signal is given, then out they will come. First of all, you need a cameraman. And when he's ready, he can film some drivers, and they will be brought out. Conor De Filippi for third, Michael Ammermuller for second, and the first double winner of 2014 in outright terms, at least, Christian Engelhardt.
Well, we can hear the track announcer announcing the drivers, and there indeed goes Christian Engelhardt, and jumps for joy on the top step of the podium. Podium floodlit there, and the bespectacled Ammermuller.
And then Conor De Filippi, the American driver, one of two. Sean Johnston, the other American driver in the race. He will make his way onto the podium and is, again, pretty chuffed with that result. May not be a championship leader anymore, but he is a podium finisher and illustrating that he can still run at the front as we have the national anthem to come of Christian Engelhardt, the winning driver. Well, Christian Engelhardt is no stranger to the podium at the Hungaroring. Last time he was here in a Super Cup car, he was on that second step. 2 years ago, he was on the top step. And it was Michael Ammermuller, as today, who was the runner-up in that Super Cup Grand Prix supporter 2 years ago. And the drivers then, in a moment, will have their trophies presented. And, of course, there's another race, the slightly longer race, to come tomorrow. Interesting mix that they have a slightly shorter race rather than two equal ones over the course of the weekend. The trophies are presented. First there, the third-place driver, Conor De Filippi. All smiles. Then Michael Ammermuller will receive his trophy for second place. He was 6/10 ahead of De Filippi, 2.7 seconds behind Christian Engelhardt.